Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this one, if you could just check out that classic football shirt, link down in the description below. If you use Leeds Lately 10 at checkout, you get 10% off, and there's loads of good Leeds shirts on there, so check that out for me. Leeds have just won 1-0 against QPR in the Championship at Elland Road, and it was a good performance, a really solid performance, the kind of performance where somebody put in my chat a minute ago, just as I ended the stream, that it was a potential banana skin game, and it was. QPR coming to Elland Road, somebody who's pretty much struggled a lot in the Championship so far, and we dealt with them well. They really didn't get out of their own half. We didn't manage to create as much as what we created against Watford, but I think that might have been a little bit of a one-off. They were okay defensively, and they kind of positioned themselves in areas where it stopped us being able to play into the space, which kind of slowed us down a little bit. But I think we did really well to account for that, and the actual goal came from one of their mistakes, but it's really clinical the way that Jorginho turned on the ball, played it into Somerville, and Somerville slotted it right in the bottom corner. Really, really tidy finish and a really good goal. But yeah, I think when we talk about the game in general, I think we really dominated the possession. In the end, I think in the first half it was 70% possession we had. We had a lot of the ball, basically. And I think a big part of that was Archie Gray and Ethan Ampadu keeping hold of it. And then you've got players like Crysencio Somerville and Jayden Anthony, who I thought both had really good games until they eventually came off. Joe Pirot went missing a little bit in this game. I don't think it was his game. I don't think particularly he could have too much of an effect on things. And in the end, that's the sort of the way it transpired, and he wasn't able to really affect the game. Jorginho Rutter, though, had a really good game, I thought, and sort of imposed himself on the game, did really well in spells in that game, turning. I think Joe Rodon coming back in at centre-back did a really good job of taking over from Cooper, and I think we discussed this with the chat on the stream, that I do think that you kind of need to have your four centre-backs, so you need to have it like this. For me, this is how I would have it, is that Strauch and Rodon start every week. If there is a game where somebody has to deputise for Rodon, it should be Cresswell because he's the right-footed centre-back. If there is a game where somebody has to deputise for Strauch, it should be Cooper because he's the left-footed centre-back. I don't think putting Cooper at right centre-back really... it's just not a good idea for me, or Strauch, because it's just so awkward for them to get round the ball and to have to play the ball out from the back like that. Neither of them are particularly comfortable on their weak foot. And also, I think Joe Rodon just has to start over Cooper anyway because of his pace. Talked about that as well, how Rodon just has that ability to get back and get himself between the ball and the man. And stop them from scoring. I think the only person who really threatened from QPR for the whole game was Elias Chair. And now I think Elias Chair would be a really, really good signing for Leeds, and somebody who I think we should probably go for in January. His passing range and stuff, for the fact that the rest of his team didn't really give him the service and weren't really doing enough to help him out, I think he still did really well in the bits that he did, because when he did get the ball, he turned quickly, really sharp. And then when he looked forward, there wasn't much on for him. But his passes weren't just a hopeful lump over the top or into the channels. They were accurate, and they were actually towards someone. And it actually meant that QPR were able to get more of an attack than they would if they didn't have Elias Chair in the team, if you get what I mean. So I think somebody like him in the Leeds team could be a really, really good signing. But alas, he was playing for QPR, and he didn't manage to get his teammates an assist. But the Leeds team, I think, was really good, other than I think Ayling had a really poor game. I hate to mention it, but I just don't think... We won the game, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I do think that Luke Ayling really struggled at times, and it wasn't actually his defensive responsibilities. He was fine defensively today. I think it was his going forward. A lot of the time, he would take a loose touch. It would go out of play. There was one where it dropped for him at the back post, and he just had to bring it down and shoot. He completely miscontrolled it, and it went out for a throw-in. I think in the end it was awful. So I think Luke Ayling had a poor game, but all in all, everybody else played quite well, and Pirot maybe went missing a little bit as well. So Ayling and Pirot are the ones that maybe need a bit of improvement for next week. Everyone else, though, I think played really well. We did well to control the game, and even though we were 1-0 up, we did well not to panic and concede, because we've been guilty of that before in past seasons and stuff. So I do think that, for me, it's showing a sign of progress that we can actually hold on to a lead, and that we can be confident and still playing our game, still going forward and still trying to score a goal, whilst defending as well, because it's been the case that, I know Rocco always mentions it from Leeds That. If you want to check out Leeds That, their podcast is great. But Rocco from Leeds That, he always mentions how we used to be able to defend, but if we defended well, we won't be able to attack. Or vice versa, we'd attack really well, but we won't be able to defend. And that's been our problem for the last couple of years. I think now we're learning to do both, and doing really well at it. I think you probably maybe think, oh, maybe we should be beating QPR 2 or 3-0. I think we had the chances to do so, but we didn't particularly take them very well. And also, a 1-0 win is a 1-0 win. You're still getting 3 points and taking us up to 6th in the table. So for me, I think it's... I think it's a good result, and it gets us into a good spot in the table where we can start to make a run towards Preston in that 3rd spot now. But having said all that, let's take the last 10-15 minutes and just talk about them for a while, because that was honestly hilarious, especially having the QPR commentary in the headphones whilst doing the stream. Honestly, it was brilliant. So Bamford comes on. If you didn't catch the game, you'll probably seen it on the highlights by now, but Bamford comes on, and we're right at the end of the game, in injury time already, and Strauch sends a long ball forward, and Bamford does really well to roll his man. Bamford then gets through on goal, but Begovic has already come out, so they're very close to each other, and Bamford flicks it round Begovic. Begovic, it looks like he's brought Bamford down, and Bamford goes down, gets Begovic sent off. Then when you actually look at the replay, I don't think Begovic actually even touched Bamford. Like no contact at all. Like there was air between them for me on the replays that I've seen. I haven't seen it again too many times. There may have been contact. For me, it looked like there was an air gap, like it was bad. But Bamford's dive was like really eerily like good. Like it looked like he'd been hit. His leg went in the right direction as if it had been knocked, not him moving it himself. So maybe there was some contact, but for me, I don't think it was a red card. I think Bamford just went down. And I was talking about this, how we all know that Bamford, he actually just seems like a nice bloke. He's very down to earth, family man, nice bloke, nice guy, holds good values, and speaks out about things that he doesn't think are right. And we all know that he's nice, but opposition fans seem to hate him, and I think it's for stuff like this, and just in general they hate him anyway. But it was hilarious because I had the QPR commentary on, and he went, he hasn't touched him, he's a cheat, and they started going mental. Towards the end of the game, they said somebody dispossessed Bamford, and he went, oh, Bamford the cheat's been dispossessed. And it's just like, these guys are supposed to be doing like a professional commentary. Can you imagine Bryn Law and Tony DeRico saying that? I don't think they would. So that was rather funny. And then obviously that meant that Lyndon Dykes had to go in goal, because they'd already used all their substitutions. I think that was why. So Lyndon Dykes had to go in goal. If you don't know who Lyndon Dykes is, he's the striker with tattoos all up his neck and arms and stuff. And he had to go in goal, and he took a couple of goal kicks and stuff. We had the free kick from the actual incident where Bamford was brought down for Begovic's red card. And actually, don't get me wrong, I actually like Begovic, and I felt a bit sorry for him. He was on the Fozcast, on Ben Foster's podcast, and just, he could have had big moves, let's say, to like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, and a lot of money, but he just wanted to be a family man and live with his family in London and stuff where he lives. And he chose that in the Championship over going for a big money move and still playing proper football. So fair play to him for that, but he lost it. He was going mad at every single official he could find. And then, so then Lyndon Dykes goes in goal, and then Bamford, all he had to do was hit the target from that free kick, because I think if he hits the target, it's a surefire goal. It's a striker in net. It's literally Lyndon Dykes in net, but he hits it straight at the wall, which is just typical Bamford. But for the rest of it, we just kept taking it into the corner, and it was funny, the QPR commentators getting very frustrated at that. But I just feel like in that situation, yeah, take it into the corner is the right thing to do, and it shows discipline. But it's Lyndon Dykes in goal. If you have one shot, it goes in. Like, just have a shot and get your goal difference up. But yes, very funny in the end. Very good victory. Takes us up to 6th in the table. Very happy with it. But yeah, there's not much more to say. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And like I said, hit that big red button down below. Join the community. Join the Leeds Lately channel. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching.